Hey, this is Mike Moo from Mike Moo Online, Mike Moo Gadget Review, and Mike Moo Photography Review. I'm just going to do a quick unboxing and talk a little bit about the Sigma DP2 Quattro. The DP2 is actually the first of the series that Sigma releases of their cult cameras. I call them cult cameras just because people are really fanatics about these cameras when they get them, and I got one myself, and I've been shooting with them for a good month, and I can see why. The image quality is really fantastic in right conditions, and unfortunately, because it is kind of a different technology, you can only really get this type of technology directly from Sigma. They license something called the Foveon, and you can Google and read more about that, or I'll provide links about that. But pretty much it captures images in a very different way compared to conventional cameras that use Bayer technology. It really allows it to capture colors like no other on a pixel level. So rather than interpolating colors, it actually captures the actual color per pixel. That's pretty much as clear and succinct as I can put it. The picture quality you'll see from it is actually pretty phenomenal, and for myself shooting with it for a good month while I was abroad on a trip, I definitely see why people like it a lot. So this is what you get. This is the retail version in the USA, by the way. So if you're in another country, sometimes they give you some other different packages that include some other accessories. Not over here in the States. In the States, you pretty much get what you see here, which is not too bad. It's not the best package I've seen in the world, but you know what? $4,000 camera. They actually give you 2 batteries, which is really cool. And you'll see that you'll actually need those 2 batteries, because the battery life on this, even though it's much better than the previous generation, which was the Merrell, DP Merrell, it's still not superb. I did not really get a chance to play around with the Sigma Merrells, and so I really can't compare it to that. I only know that I've heard that it's been pretty horrendous. So one of the first things you'll notice about this is, of course, the weird shape and design of that, and that's I give kudos to Sigma for designing something that looks a little bit more interesting, to just kind of give you an idea that this is a real special camera. But as you can see, it's pretty thin, pretty compact. If it weren't for this big grip, it's like pretty standard if you just cut off this whole part. But you actually need this for the batteries. The battery has to be significantly bigger because the sensor technology in here actually requires quite a lot of power, it seems. But a lot of people have been complaining about the grip and why, and say that's really awkward to use. I've actually found it to be actually okay. It feels a little awkward to use, but at the same time, it does give you a decent grip versus if it's just a blocky body. So whether or not you like the design or look of it, you know, that's completely up to you. That's really the beauty is in the eye of the beholder. I should mention that the DP2, it's a 30mm lens, but the equivalent of full frame puts it around 45mm. So this is more like a normal camera, and it's not a zoom; it's fixed focal length. It's an f2.8. Which is super sharp, by the way. This is one of the sharpest lenses that I've ever used, especially in a camera of this size. Now, I'm a Canon shooter primarily. Canon and Micro Four Thirds shooter primarily. So I do get to see some really amazing lenses from both types, both the Canon EF and also the Micro Four Thirds, some of which are world class. But I was really impressed with it. So you get the power adapter with a separate charger. You'll get very familiar with the charger because you will need to charge your batteries pretty often. I definitely cannot go through a whole day with just one battery. You definitely need 2 batteries. Of course, it all depends on how much you shoot. I should also mention that there is no image stabilization on the camera. So one of the accessories you'll want to get immediately if you don't have one of these is some way to stabilize the camera. This is a semi-proprietary USB plug that is also the same type of plug that you would get to use if you needed to use a remote triggering device, and you may want to do that as well, especially if you're going to be using it with a tripod in low light scenarios. They give you a nice little sticker that lets you mark which battery it is that you use. Notice they give you 4. They probably recommend 4 for a full day, and I recommend it as well. You can find batteries online right now. They're around $30 a piece. One nice little thing that they give you is this. This I found actually pretty useful. It's actually a camera battery case. I very rarely see any camera that comes with such a thing. But this is one, and it goes together with the neck strap. And when I use the neck strap with it, it works out pretty well because you definitely want 2 batteries with you at all times. So there's one of the 2 batteries. Pretty standard looking. They're definitely pretty good quality, but I really only get about 200 some shots each, depending on the way. Of course, it really depends on the way you shoot with it. But it's 7.2 volt, 1200 milliamp hours, and these fit nicely into this case, which then has the loops that allows you to attach it directly to the neck strap, which is included here. Neck strap's not too shabby. I prefer to use my own, but when I was using it and testing it I definitely used this strap with it and it worked out okay. It's got some slip resistant material on one side. It's pretty thin. It's not bulky at all. Use it if you like, but I definitely like using third parties. So then you get the second battery, and that's pretty much all you get in here. So I usually like to stick these on the battery packs. Now I should mention that Sigma also came out with the DP1. That's more of a wide angle. I believe it's a 35 millimeter or 30 millimeter equivalent in full frame. And you know, it goes for the same price right now as well. So if you are someone that shoots in more wide angle, you can look into getting that one instead of this one. This one was the first one that came out, and of course is the first one that I have actually tried. In fact, I like this camera so much that I'm actually going to go look into getting the DP1 when I'm hoping for a little bit of a price drop. Right now, $1,000 is pretty high, especially since I had just gotten this one. And I've been shooting out with it. But let me tell you just a couple of things about the image quality. It is fantastic. And straight out of the camera, JPEGs are supposedly much better than the previous generations. I found them to be acceptable, but the real value comes in, of course, when you're shooting raw. The white balance is not that great on here. I gotta say, it's one of the weaker players that I've ever tried, especially in this price range. But you know, you can adjust the white balance, or you definitely want to. This is more of a camera where you need to sit and think about and adjust the camera settings before you take the picture to get the best results. But the ones that you do get are phenomenal. Definitely comparable and exceeding all the full frame camera sensors out there when shot appropriately. And the best is to shoot this always at ISO 100. Don't bother going past ISO 400 in this camera because it's just not going to look that great. So if you're going to shoot above ISO 400, which is most people, this isn't a camera for you. So you can see why this is kind of a cult classic. But when you do shoot at ISO 100 and you need those colors to really come through accurately in a way that's very difficult to describe, this is definitely the camera for you. But make sure you travel and shoot either during the daytime or bring a tripod, and make sure that you have everything set up appropriately. Reduce the minimal, make sure the shutter speed is appropriate for whatever you're shooting, and then go ahead and pop away. One bad thing about this, and you know, it's not mentioned anywhere other than when you search for it, is when you actually try the Sigma software, it's actually a bit of a bear to use and really slow and not as efficient. But the quality you get from it is going to be the best that you can possibly get from the camera. So then again, you know, there's those caveats that you have when using a camera like this that make it not quite as so popular. Also, writing times on this is pretty slow, I gotta say, but you know, the files that come out are 50 megabytes. And you know, you can shoot 40 megapixel stills directly from here. That's slightly interpolated from the imaging sensor, but once it comes out, you know, the quality is really good. 20 megapixels is what it comes out to, but you can super res those. You can find out a little bit more about that from other people or from more technical sites. This was intended to just be just me talking a little bit about it while I'm unboxing, and hopefully this gives you some idea about what I think of this camera so far after using it for about a month or so. So I guess to put my money where the mouth is, I definitely think it's worth it. The best price that I've seen around it was a price mistake on BH Photo Video, and they had it for about $500 to $600 some dollars. Even at $899, I think it's still worthwhile if you want the best image quality and you don't want to get a medium format camera, and you can deal with the 50 millimeter point of view, which is pretty much a standard normal lens. You just will be so impressed with the image quality. If image quality is your number one thing and you're willing to shoot ISO 100, it's very, very difficult to beat. Anything like this, I mean, you can check on the other YouTube videos. You can see some examples compared to full frame with L-class lenses. Even the Sony full frames, they do a really close-up pixel level view. They zoom it past 100%, and you look at it, and the difference is night and day. The Bayer technology that puts filters over it to try to capture the colors definitely blurs out the quality of the images, whereas this is truly sharp. Okay, well, thanks for watching. Hopefully this was useful to you. I'm not sponsored by Sigma in any way. However, if you do click on any links on my site, they do go to some affiliates where I get a small percentage of your sale, and it does help me out and encourages me to produce more videos like this. And I do apologize, I've been pretty busy and I haven't been able to record as many videos as I used to or do as many reviews, but I'm going to start up again starting next year. Thanks for watching.